After the other guys left, you started to get a little concerned when they were kind of dawdling around for a while. So, Kane, I'm assuming you're going to ride your Zaratan there.
I'm going to ride Lightning McQueen, bro.
Is there anything you wanted to do at the base before you met up with them? Because the gunsmith is there.
What can he do exactly?
I mean,
can I upgrade my rifle more, or?
He might be able to experiment and give you other forms of ammunition to use. Here's what I'm going to do, is you're going to ask him for something, and I'm going to roll a d20. I rolled a 17, so basically that's going to mean that he's going to be able to tinker around and probably make something relatively simple, but it might be a little bit of an upgrade for your weapon, or it can be something that maybe you can add to your rifle to do certain things.
Let's go talk to him and then see what he can do about that, and see if we can get some different types of ammunition.
All right, so you walk up to Fernando.
Hello, little frogman. I see you still have my rifle. Now, what would you like? Would you like a different ammunition? Or maybe you like something better with the gun?
Let's try different ammunition first.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to give you 4 choices, and then I'm going to roll a d20 for you. Whatever it rolls on is going to be the choice that you get. So one of them is going to be freezing rounds, one of them is going to be acid rounds, one of them is going to be anti-corruption rounds, and one of them is going to be basically a laser round. It's going to be a round that specifically fires a charged beam of heat as opposed to a bullet. All right, so 6 to 10, so that's the acid rounds. He gives you another little bandolier pocket to add to your belt, and that's going to have acid rounds inside of it. Now, the way the acid rounds work is, again, it's the same damage as your normal elemental rounds, the explosive and the incendiary, but then in addition to that, the target is going to take 2d8 acid damage for 2 turns, including the turn that it hits. All right, so he gives you that, and you show up a few days later after Saira has raised her army and the horse soldiers are ready to move out and go closer to Spyglass Point. So you guys can choose what you want to do at this point. The Maripole are ready to leave, but there might be other things.
You know what? I'll head on with the soldiers, and I'll let the rest, stay behind to search for anything useful.
Are the rest of you guys going to go with him and the horse soldiers, or are you going to stay behind and look for stuff?
I'll go with him.
I'll go with him.
I think we pretty much well scoured this area. I do have a lot of extra hands.
And Rock, are you going to follow them?
No, I'm not going to follow the frog guy.
So you're just going to stay behind at the battlefield while everybody else leaves?
Until I hear, screaming.
All right, so Rocco's just going to putz around at the battlefield for a little while. We'll roll a perception roll for you a little later and see if you find anything interesting. The rest of you guys are going to follow. Now, Archie, you bringing your skeletons with you?
I am going to, because I don't trust him not to try and convert my goddamn skeletons. The last thing I need is unionized undead or religious undead, because that raises a lot of questions. So I'm going to bring them with me.
Okay, so they're going to come with you. All right, so everybody's going to go with the horse soldiers. So you guys kind of follow the Maripole out. So I'm going to say it's going to take a couple days for you guys to reach Spyglass Point. It's north and east of your position. Since it's only a couple of days, I'm not going to roll to, have any kind of an encounter or something. So what I'm going to do is you guys will get there. I'll roll for you. Then we'll go back to Rock and see what he's doing. The 4 of you, along with your mounts and everything, you guys all arrive up there, the 2 horse soldiers. You come over a sand dune and you see this spire of rock that's shooting up into the sky with casts a large shadow over it. The sun's kind of behind it now, so the shadow's a little bigger. And you see underneath it what appears to be a rather large settlement of people dressed very similarly to the 2 soldiers there. And there's a few horses and, some families and stuff like that. It's kind of a mixed batch of people. It's not just all soldiers, but they're all camped out underneath that area.
Does anybody react to the approaching undead army?
They're very apprehensive as you approach.
Is there any chance that I can get a performance roll out of my skeletons to calm the nerves of the natives?
He's gonna have just one midget fucking skeleton like, hello, my baby, hello, my honey.
No, that would be you. You're the frog.
True.
Fuck it, I'll do that. I'll roll a performance check.
The skeletons will be your background dancers.
Yeah.
So you're both going to do performance checks.
That was a nat 20 for my
Oh my
skeleton
god, that's a
performance.
nat 20. Yeah, that'd be a 15 for me.
So you got a 15. He got a nat 20. So basically what happens is the 2 soldiers are about to walk forward, but right before that, Saira and Curtis march forward, and Saira kind of gives a little applause as her background dancers show up, which are the skeleton crew, and they begin doing kind of like that can thing in the background where they're kicking their legs up and stuff. And as that's happening, Cham just grabs like a random stick that he finds, and also for some reason he has a top hat. I don't know where he got it from, and he's just kind of doing like a wild leg kick dance in front of these like canning skeletons as he's singing, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my rampart gal." I'm gonna roll for the perception for the two guards that are looking at you to see if they fucking... Okay, they applaud. They applaud, and one of them kind of snickers a little bit. But they don't really see you. Either you're incredibly psychotic and you're gonna murder them anyway, or you're harmless and you just like fucking around with shit and you have a necromancer with you. So they don't really give that much of a shit about necromancers. So they're willing to talk to you normally. They kind of stay their weapons, and they talk to the two other horse soldiers after your little musical show is over.
I give each one of the background skeleton dancers a high five, like, yeah!
Yeah, they all high five, and they're really pumped about it. One of them says that he wants to go pro.
I slap the shit out of that one. I just come in and fucking spike his head into the dust.
I'm not going to make you roll to hit because it's your skeleton and you can control it, but roll strength to see if you can knock its block off.
Oh my god!
So she fucking Team Rocket punches that motherfucker.
Okay, yeah, so you take your gauntlet hand and you wind up and you crank that thing right into its temple, and that skeleton's head just goes skidding across the desert until it hops itself over a dune and you just lose sight of it.
And I turn and point at the rest of them. Let that be a lesson.
You know that the skeleton that you hit doesn't have a head, but you still feel like the body is disappointed in itself.
I'm just going to go into the body and whisper in his ear, "Hey, I think you and I have some good chemistry. Let's work on it."
The skeleton gives you a thumbs up. Now that whole exchange is over, the two soldiers talk with their other companions, and they basically say that you guys are not with the Black Scales, and they think that you might be able to be helpful. They didn't really find too much at Broken Spear, but they do see that you guys were able to harness 45 different skeletons.
Also, the fucking weapons I gave him.
They basically explain that you're friendly, and they ask if you can see the leader, a man known as the BB. He's kind of in this big tent that's in the middle of the encampment, so those guys are going to lead you there if you're willing to come. However, they do say that you may want to leave the skeletons on the outskirts because the tent's probably not big enough to house all of them.
I'll go along.
Saira rips her hand off and has it scurry up Curtis's fucking side and sits there. Report back.
I'm just going to look over at the hand, like, ah! And just fucking flick it off.
Roll dexterity to throw it off you. So Curtis quickly uses the back of his hand and like flips the Saira's little tarantula hand off of him, and it falls on the ground and kind of gets back up on his little like finger toes and kind of just goes humph and goes back and reattaches to Saira's wrist.
Well, that wasn't nice.
I'm ready to say that to the skeleton, my partner. Start tap dancing my way into the tent.
She's gonna follow him. If you don't quit
right.
your shit, I'm going to turn that thing into the worst living sex toy and put it in your tent.
Velnos and Kane, are you guys going to follow them?
Might as well.
All four of you, along with the two horse soldiers, enter the tent. And when you enter it, you see a man sitting in the front, and he appears to be wearing a rather large turban and some very pointy shoes and similar robes to them. And he's sitting on a little throne. He's a little on the pudgy side, and he has a lot of rings and stuff on, too. He greets you and invites you closer, even though he is kind of weirded out by the person who smells like death and is covered in bones.
What I'm going to do is, I'm going to put the dark blade, like the scabbard on my side. I'm going to get on, go forward, get on my knees, kind of like the samurai sit. I'm like, Habibi, and bow.
You do that. He states that the greeting is sufficient. He asks if the others would like to come forward as well.
Saira's not going to bow, but she does step forward.
This one has sass.
This one also has an army. Watch your mouth.
I like sass. My 4 previous wives had it.
Listen here, boy. If you're trying to tap, you're gonna need to be a lot more dead.
I apologize for the lack of manners to you, Habibi.
Saira's gonna raise an eyebrow and look over at Curtis. What fucking voice is that?
Where I come from, we are a clan of warriors. We stick to the shadows.
Would anybody else like to interrupt?
No. Let him go.
This is my brother. We come from the same clan.
Me love you long time.
To see Frogkin so far from the swamps, it is not normal.
Nothing about this man is normal.
Like, you see Curtis, he snaps his head, like, the whole, like, world just turned, like, black and gray. Like the old samurai films.
In your mind, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what's going on in my head.
And an elf, too. Such a rarity for these parts.
We have learned about this elf's past, of the brutality that was put upon his people.
I hate you.
I still cannot believe how these savages were not prosecuted and put into trial for such an atrocity.
He greets you all and basically asks why you're there.
I will let the necromancer speak, for I must meditate.
Alright, you go to a corner or something, you fucking...
I'm just gonna stay in place and just meditate.
She's gonna quietly detach her hand and have it crawl around behind him to try and get up on him. She turns to this fucking idiot and she's like, so, we're in the area, we're definitely not fans of black scales. And, quite frankly, we're trying to kill them all, but it's a bit of a roundabout way because most of my companions are useless, hence the undead army out in the back, and anybody else we can chance to recruit.
Where are the bitches?
Yeah, like that idiot right there. As a side note, is there any bitches in town that he can go and do something with? Because, quite frankly, he's a chore to deal with.
Habibi snaps his fingers, and several belly dancers who look to be very attractive come in and pick Kane up and carry him out of the tent.
Bitches!
Pay special attention to his butt.
They just come, pick him up, put him on their shoulders, and then they walk out with him as he's celebrating by shoving his hands into the air.
I'm gonna be like, Habibi, I apologize for the lack of control my brother has.
It's okay. We have people like him all the time.
Now that we have a little bit more peace and quiet and less retardation, although not zero until this one leaves, and she points down.
And I'm just gonna point at Saira at the same time.
I can't wait until you die. I'm going to turn you into a footstool. I hope you know. Anyway, so we're looking for allies in this endeavor. We are going to be breaking through, I believe, the northern gates, wasn't it? To
The
push
northern
into...
gate is being patrolled by a massive dragon. I don't know if you're doing that.
Well, we're trying to get past up that way, one way or the other. We have a, let's call it special cargo.
Then it seems like you have a dragon problem.
As soon as he says that, I'm gonna whistle, and Ariel's gonna come in. She's gonna come out of the carriage and rush
He said
to me.
dragon problem, not dragon pet.
I do not care.
We're trying to figure out how to murder them. You want to have this conversation in front of your child? Oh, that's fine, child. We're just trying to murder your cousin. Does that sound right to you? Does it? No?
There is some information I am willing to part with in exchange for an alliance.
As stated before, the only way you're coming after this is if you're a lot more dead, but you can try and fuck that one.
Information!
Oh, yes, of course. What would you like to know?
No, I have information for you.
But you want it in writing. Is that what you want?
I want an alliance because my people do not have water.
And thus, this alliance shall be formed in blood. And I'm gonna cut my hand, and I'm gonna put my fist out forward and let the blood come down. The alliance shall be commenced.
What the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. You see, this is what I deal with. This is what I'm at.
Why did you cut yourself?
It is alliance. This is custom of my people.
Okay, I'm not cutting myself.
You do not have
Thank
to.
you.
It is my people who did.
Do you have something for him to do so we can talk? Is this something that he can go do? I don't know. Do you have flies
Okay.
anywhere that need to be caught?
There are many flies everywhere.
Go outside and go catch flies.
Kane, I'm going to roll for this because it's been enough time to see how well you handle the 3 women that went off with you.
I'll handle the bitches, okay?
Alright, so I'm going to roll 3 d20s and we'll see how you do. Oh! Well, one of them was a nat 20. One of them was a 3 and one of them was a 10. Okay, so your first one is average. She's satisfied, but it was more than she was expecting out of a frog. The second one is not satisfied. It was exactly what she was expecting out of a frog. And the last and final one, you somehow grew a human-sized penis and did what you did, and she will never be the same.
Let's go!
After you have finished, you then go back out to the outskirts of town and hang out with the skeleton boys who are currently playing poker.
Deal me in, boys.
It's a 5 silver buy-in, by the way. So basically what he's telling you guys is that he's willing to give you information about the dragon if you're willing
form
to
an
engage in an alliance and help his people find water.
Saira is gonna kind of guide the conversation into writing down in a contract, not because she doesn't trust him or anything. She's an evil asshole. So she wants to do the absolute minimum amount of guarantees to this man and have it in writing. No fucking handshake deals here, which is why she's asking for it. Like, is this the only requisite for just helping him find water, or is this like a call upon the future, like favors in general? Like, how are we handling this alliance?
He snaps his fingers once and the scribe comes in so that he can write down all of the intricacies that you guys are going to talk about. But to boil it down to nuts and bolts, they are kind of one of the last roaming bands of Maripol that are left in the desert. And the reason why is because the Black Scales, because they're better at conserving water due to their physiology, were able to basically build stuff at all the different oases throughout the desert in order to keep them from getting water and mostly destroy those oases so they couldn't get water. And it wound up causing a lot of them to die of dehydration. What he wants is he wants a place where his people can go and partake in water so they don't dehydrate.
We can do something about that. I am going to cast one of my upper tier spells of the Divine Guidance variety, asking my god question the nearest source of water that we could feasibly get into with the amount of skills and things that we have.
So you're going to pray to that god and ask that god a question. All right, so as you do that, in your head comes a voice.
The nearest water is Scale Bottom Lake, but it is populated by black scales. Unsuitable. You can sustain them at your own oasis if you wish.
So she looks down after having prayed. She goes, we could always bring them back with us, Curtis.
I'm gonna beckon her to come down so I can speak to her.
I'm not kneeling. I'm right here. You're not going to get me to kneel. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm right here. What?
We need to discuss this in private. Let's take a break and go outside to get some fresh air.
Yeah, he kind of says you can take the time that you need. So before I get back to anybody else here, we'll go to Raka because he's been very patiently waiting. So Raka, you're back at Broken Spear. You didn't travel with any of them up there. So what are you going to do while you're there?
Take a long nap until something comes up.
Let's roll and see if something comes up then. Roll to 19. Raka, you said you're just going to walk around and just kind of do stuff?
Yeah, he's going to go around, scan the area, see
All
if
right,
there's
roll a reflex save for me. Okay, that's not going to be quite enough to do what you're going to have to do. So basically what happens is, Raka, as you take a step, you notice that the ground below you seems to give way, and you fall down into a swirling whirlpool of sand that very quickly sucks you under. As you get sucked under, you get spit out into what looks like a large room. You're still falling down, by the way. You're going to have to try and see if you can do something to stop your momentum.
Is there like any wall around me or anything like that?
Yeah, there is a wall that's kind of near you that you might be able to grab onto. So if you do a climb check, you might be able to snag onto that before you fall and hit the ground.
Oh boy, a climb check? I invested so much into climb. Fucking nat 1.
What happens is, as you try and grab something, you grab a rock with your hand, but the rock very quickly breaks off. So you're holding the piece of rock that you were trying to grapple onto. You then proceed to fall to the floor. I'm going to say that's going to give you about 2d10 damage. All right, so that's 10 damage total that you took from the bashing damage that you took from the fall. The suit is fairly resilient, so you don't have any kind of serious injuries. Your back just hurts quite a bit. So now that you're in this room, it's kind of dark in there. So the only thing that you can really see in the room is now that the sand has kind of fallen through the roof of the area, there's a beam of light that's kind of illuminating you, but the rest of the room is completely dark. So you're either going to need some kind of illumination or you're going to need something else. Also, you can see a shadow up above at the hole. It's your griffin looking down into it to see if you're okay.
So wait, she can see me down here?
Now she can see you down there because you're standing in the middle of the light.
How big is the hole?
The hole that you fell through, now that all the sand is kind of ankled out, is probably about 5 feet by 5 feet. Looks like there were some bricks and stuff that fell in, too. You were standing on some kind of a man-made roof that was covered in sand.
I don't suppose the griffin can get down here.
The Griffin can get down there. Yes, it can. It just doesn't really have a whole lot of room to kind of take off and fly. That's the only issue. A rope would be probably an easier way to get in and out.
Tura, go find me a rope.
Jared goes, and then leaves. That's going to go find your rope. So do you want to try and illuminate the room, or you want to just stay in the light, or do anything else down there?
I don't really think I have anything to illuminate the room.
You have a flaming sword.
Oh, yeah.
You take your sword off your back, and the blue flame immediately starts to light up on the blade. As you shine it around the room, different things in there are illuminated by blue flame. Now, as you're looking around, you see what appears to be just kind of like a general little area, but as you look around, you see that the walls are lined with bookcases. It doesn't appear that there's anything really else in the room. There's a few small statues and stuff like that, mostly just busts with a few plaques and things like that. And then the rest of the area is filled with just shelves and shelves of books.
Are there like any doors or doorways?
You do see one doorway near the head of the room, but it appears that it's been collapsed in because there looks like there's rocks and debris in it, and the two stone doors that were once there are shattered and lying on the ground.
Well, who would just bury all of their books? Unless they're very boring books. That would make sense. I don't know. I guess I'll go start, inspecting the books.
Roll just a general search check just to see what you find. You don't have to look for. You're not looking for anything specific, so it's just going to be kind of a general, okay, what are these books made up of? What are they about? What's going on? All right, that's a 14. So basically, what you do is you run your hands over them. There's a lot of dust and stuff on them, so you wipe that away so you can see the spines of the books. And as you're reading them, the first one you look at appears to be "Cooking Dragon for Dummies." The one that's immediately next to it also appears to be something similar to a cookbook. It appears you found several cookbooks, but then as you keep going, you start finding different other things on other bookcases. So it seems like this was some sort of a library where it was organized, at least somewhat in terms by what the books are for. So cookbooks were all in the area where it seems like there were a lot of sea things. You keep going back and forth, and you start finding various other things of hunting and things like that. A lot of very interesting books, but you do find one in the B section that is particularly interesting to you, where it says Basam Ra on the spine of the book. So you pick up the book and you open it. On the inside, it appears to be one of your Bibles, one of the ones that you carry, because it has the exact same wording listed in it. However, the book itself seems to appear to be hundreds of years old.
Witchcraft! We must burn this place to the ground.
As you throw the book away in disgust, it opens and the pages begin to flip uncontrollably, as if being flipped by an invisible force.
He's just gonna ready his sword. He feels like something's about to come fuck with him.
Okay, so as you stand there, a bright light shines from the book. Your eyes are almost blinded by it to the point where even with the visor on the helmet, where you have to kind of cover your face for a second. And after you look back, you see that the entire room has changed. It now appears to be pristine. There's no hole in the roof, and all the books appear to be in proper order. There's no dust. Everything's repaired. The doorway you saw that was once caved in is now completely open. And it also appears that there's several people in the room who are looking at you very curiously, because a giant man in armor just showed up with a flaming blue sword for no reason.